It's the first of 5 straight weekends with no byes. That means plenty of games. Let's get right to them. Stats, take me through the slate to come on Sunday.
The Ravens go to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Lamar Jackson, Mike, over-under on rush yards for him for this game. I put it at 50.
I'll take the over. That doesn't mean I think the Ravens are going to win. You know, initially I thought Baltimore can go down to Atlanta. It's the city where Mike Vick became Mike Vick, and Mike Vick's been in Lamar Jackson's corner saying Jackson can be better than I was. But look, the Falcons are desperate, and they're up against it. People are going to get fired if they don't turn this thing around at 4-7. After they went from 1-4 to 4-4, they've lost 3 in a row. They've had extra time to get ready. And when you consider what the Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson in 2 starts, at home against the Bengals haven't been very good lately. At home against the Raiders, need I say more? This is a road game, first road start for Lamar Jackson. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be loud. And that Falcons offense, I think, good enough to outscore whatever Lamar Jackson is able to muster. I think he gets more than 50, but I don't think the Ravens get the win.
Denver at Cincinnati. Denver's won a couple of games, Mike, but they're still 4 spots back out of the playoffs in the AFC. Is Denver a legit threat if they win this game?
Yeah, I mean, those 4 spots can evaporate quickly depending upon one team winning, one team losing, this team losing. You get some help. They can work their way in. If they keep winning, it'll take care of itself. Very rarely does a team go 10-6 and not make it to the playoffs. It's happened. It could happen. But look, for now, the Broncos turning it around after a rough start. They were 3-6. They've won 2 in a row, beating both the Chargers and the Steelers. That gives them great confidence moving forward. Now they have to win the games they're supposed to win. Back in late September, we wouldn't have called this a game the Broncos are supposed to win, but it now is. And they need to keep stringing these victories together, and they're developing that confidence. And Case Keenum, one thing he's done well over the last couple of years, he's gone toe-to-toe with great quarterbacks and won. This week, it's Jeff Driscoll. And who knows? Driscoll may come out and play well, but I think the Broncos have everything pointing into their advantage, and I do think they can force their way into that conversation for the 6th seed in the AFC.
The Rams are going to Detroit to take on the Lions. What's more likely? The Lions play like the team that beat New England, or the Lions play like the team that couldn't even score a touchdown against Minnesota?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think that this is a team that is in the midst of a cultural change, and some weeks it works and some weeks it doesn't. They were 3-3 hosting the Seahawks, and many thought the Lions would win that game, and that was kind of the moment we first started to take Seattle seriously, and we first started to really wonder about the Lions. They're capable of playing well. They're capable of keeping it close, and maybe they will keep it close. But the Rams are rested, the Rams are ready, and I think the Rams will be rejuvenated by the fact that the Saints have lost, because now everything is there for the Rams to ensure that all of their postseason games will be played at home.
The Cardinals go to Green Bay to take on the Packers. True or false, Mike? The Packers are a legitimate playoff threat in the NFC with a win.
I'd say more false than true, so I guess I have to say false. I don't like to answer true or false questions, as you know. But it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take a lot more than beating the Cardinals to make me think the Packers are suddenly a playoff contender. The first thing they're going to have to do to get me to even begin to believe in the Packers is win a game on the road, which they haven't done all year long. Which, look, if you're not going to win games on the road, if you do make it to the playoffs somehow as a 6th seed, you're not going to win in the playoffs because you have to go on the road. Although remember, when they won their only Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, they were the 6th seed, and they went on the road, and they won in every round of the playoffs before beating the Steelers in Super Bowl 45.
The Bills are in Miami to take on the Dolphins. After puckering up late in the game last week against Indianapolis, Mike, and losing it, does another loss spell the end for Adam Gase?
No, and I don't know. I mean, I know where this is coming from because there's been so much dysfunction in Miami over the years, and Gase now will have 2 straight seasons with no playoff appearances. But in his first year, he took the team to the playoffs, and they've been through a lot of adversity the past couple of years. And the key thing to remember, when they had Joe Philbin as the head coach, Jeff Ireland as the GM, Donna Ponte was working in the front office, those 3 were constantly infighting. And it was creating many, many problems for the organization. They don't have that now. Even though there's plenty of external dysfunction that has rained upon the team and made it more difficult for them to win, they don't have the kind of internal dysfunction that they've had in the past. And I think that means something to an owner who isn't in Florida except for the games. And I think that Adam Gase is going to end up getting another shot. I think he gets a shot with a different quarterback before he ends up being out the door.
The Bears go to New York to take on the Giants. No Mitchell Trubisky in this game, Mike. Chase Daniel gets the start. Does it matter?
You know, one of the weird things about this Mitchell Trubisky injury, it does not affect the betting line at all, which means people have as much faith in Chase Daniel as they have in Trubisky. That's maybe a bigger insult to Trubisky than whatever it was Mike Lombardi said about him a few weeks ago. So, look, I think this is a real trap for the Chicago Bears because they've got the Rams in prime time on the back end of this one. And the Giants, to their credit, have been playing everyone tough. Now, they're still not good enough to win consistently, but they don't go away quietly. They're going to fight hard, and this is the kind of thing where they can get some confidence. They can feel good about themselves. It's a good barometer game for them if they can beat the Bears, and it won't surprise me if they keep it very, very close, and I think there's still a chance the Giants can win.
Panthers in Tampa. Carolina was 6-2, looking good. Loss. Does the tailspin end this week for Carolina?
If it doesn't end now, I don't think it ever will because they still have 2 games coming up against the Saints. And look, this is the best possible draw for the Panthers. I know it's always tough to go on the road in the division. It's a team that knows you very well. But the Buccaneers are giving away tickets. They had their lowest attendance in 8 years, and all season ticket holders got 2 free tickets to this game. And if it's a sparse crowd, that helps the Panthers. And I think they do get back on the right track, and they continue to be a viable playoff threat. And look, I don't know how that translates to January because I think they need to be playing their playoff games at home, but I still think they can get in.
Colts at Jaguars. Andrew Luck has thrown 3 or more touchdowns in 8 straight games. Mike, over-under on TDs for Andy, 2.5.
I'm going to go ahead and say over because Jalen Ramsey very well may not play for the Jaguars. He's got a knee injury. And the other impressive stat about Andrew Luck, last week he had his 29th or 30th 300-yard passing game of his career, and that makes him second all-time for 300-yard passing games in the first 7 seasons of a career. When you consider he's lost a season and a half to injury, that's beyond impressive. If he had played the full 7 seasons, he'd be challenging Dan Marino, if not surpassing Dan Marino, for the most 300-yard games in the first 7 seasons of a career. And all the markers are there to indicate that Andrew Luck is as good as he's ever been, and he's a great quarterback. And I saw an item at PFT during one of the breaks because, I multitask. Quentin Nelson, the rookie guard from Notre Dame who was a top 6 pick, his attitude is rubbing off on the entire line, and that's why this blue wall, as Chris Sims calls it, is so dominant this year. The running game is great. The passing game is great because the offensive line is great. And I think that selection of Quentin Nelson is going to resonate in Indianapolis for years to come.
The Browns are in Houston. Sneaky good quarterback matchup here, Mike. Which signal caller do you think is more capable of putting his team on his back?
I love this Baker Mayfield coming back to Texas storyline, right? Baker Mayfield, who played at Oklahoma, before that was at Texas Tech, coming back to take on a Texas team that has won, Houston team that has won 8 games in a row. And the Browns have that swagger. They have that confidence. And there's been so much talk this week about Baker Mayfield's comments about Hugh Jackson. And I love the fact that the Browns finally have a guy who will exhibit any type of swagger. It's been too long for the Browns to have someone who's a strong personality, who can galvanize a team and take a team on his back. I still think it's going to be tough to do against the Texans because they're healthy. We know they're talented. The challenge for them over the past few years has been health. This year, they're carrying it into early December, and I think that's enough for the Texans to win. Even though Mayfield may be better statistically, I think Deshaun Watson has enough around him to pull off the victory.
Jets at the Titans. Fill in the blank for me, Mike. The reason to watch this game is?
Because it's on TV.
Okay, let's move on. Chiefs at Raiders.
No, wait. I think that there's a challenge in trying to figure out who the Titans are. Not necessarily for this year, but for next year. And with Marcus Mariota, I say this all the time. 3 types of teams in the NFL. Teams with franchise quarterbacks, teams desperately trying to find franchise quarterbacks, and that third category of team that has a quarterback and they're not quite sure what he's going to become. How long do the Titans wait to figure out what Marcus Mariota is going to become? And look, he doesn't fall into the franchise quarterback category if he can't win easily at home against the Jets. So if they stumble against the Jets, you have to wonder not just about the Titans this year, because I don't think they're going to make it to the postseason, but you have to wonder long term, is Mariota the answer?
Chiefs at Raiders. True or false? Patrick Mahomes can put Drew Brees behind him in the MVP race with a good performance.
I'm going to go false because it's going to be a game nobody's paying any attention to. It's that late afternoon regional spot. Vikings Patriots will be the game that sucks up all the oxygen. So Patrick Mahomes throws 5 touchdown passes. Big deal. It's against the Raiders. And we kind of got to that point with Mahomes about 4 or 5 weeks into the season. Oh, Mahomes, 4 touchdowns, 350 yards. All right, we're used to it by now. So I think Mahomes is going to need a big performance on that Thursday night coming up in 13 days against the Chargers to really put himself back at the top of the MVP stack.
Vikings at Patriots, you just mentioned it. Which number is going to be bigger, Kirk Cousins' touchdowns or Kirk Cousins' head-scratching throws that you like to mention so much?
Well, I think the touchdowns will be larger in number, but there will be enough of those throw your shoe at the TV moments from Kirk Cousins to keep the Vikings from winning. Look, I've seen this movie, Vikings-Patriots, with Tom Brady playing quarterback 4 or 5 times over the last generation, and it never ends well for the Vikings. And taking this game to New England with a Patriots team that has Rob Gronkowski, although he is back on the injury report. Julian Edelman is healthy for the most part. And the Patriots, after losing by 24 at Tennessee, they have found the gas pedal. They know what's in front of them. And I still think in stats, you text this to me once every week or two with a sense of dread that all this talk about the Chiefs and these other teams, the Patriots are going to end up being the number 1 seed in the AFC. There's a sense of inevitability that that's where this is going to land.
49ers, Seahawks, Richard Sherman landing back in Seattle for the first time since leaving. True or false, Sherman's going to get cheers from the crowd?
Well, here's the thing about cheers and boos. 10% boos will overwhelm 90% cheers.
True.
And I guarantee you there will be enough people booing Richard Sherman, and he will be out there with his hands up saying, bring it on, that it will overcome the majority that will cheer him. And they should cheer him. Look, he didn't quit on the Seahawks. He didn't become a free agent and defect to another team. The Seahawks cut him. Anyone who is salty about Richard Sherman signing with the 49ers probably is salty about Hugh Jackson going to the Bengals. Look, once you fire a guy, you assume the risk he's going to show up with one of your rivals. And if you don't want that to happen, don't fire him. So Sherman proving he can still get it done. And really, if every member of the 49ers was as talented and dedicated as Richard Sherman, they'd be the team that's on the fringe of the playoff talk right now, not the Seahawks.
Last game Sunday night, of course, Chargers-Steelers. Does Phillip Rivers win a game a lot of people think he's going to lose?
I don't think so. Because he doesn't have Melvin Gordon. That's one of the factors. Austin Eckler, who has done well in relief of Gordon throughout the season, but he's not Melvin Gordon. And the Steelers have James Conner, who has had a few rough spots, but has still shown this year he's capable of getting it done. And also the Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's going to be a little salty after what happened last week. What happened the last time we saw the Steelers in primetime against a playoff contender? What happened? 52 points is what they scored? They're not going to score 52, but I think they're going to show up in a big way, and they're going to re-inject themselves into that conversation of the best teams in the AFC.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.